Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are here. Um, we have a good training that we're going to have, and I want to tell you a little bit about the people giving them. Renee, wave first, Renee. I think you probably already said hey to everyone. But Renee Ravitch began her involvement in Women's League as a member of Sisterhood, now Women's Connection, of Congregation Bethel in is that La Jolla,
La
California?
Jolla, La
La
Jolla.
Jolla.
No,
Thank you. I was
Dad.
going to say it wrong. She has held most positions in her sisterhood and on the Pacific Southwest Region Board, including Region President. Renee has served on the Women's League for Conservative Judaism's International Board, including President Moderator and Convention Logistics Chair. She's currently Consulting Services Chair and a member of the Executive Committee and the Torah Fund Cabinet. And also, she is our consultant for our conference this year. So we're very excited to have her with our conference. Rachel Ferber. Rachel Ferber says, I've lived in the Chicago area for 30 years. I belong to North Suburban Synagogue Bethel, where I've been Sisterhood President and Co-President. I'm currently the Torah Fund VP for Central Great Lakes Region, and I recently became a Women's League consultant. So Rachel, thank you for being here. We're excited to have you.
My pleasure.
And Rachel's going to begin. Just share something with us.
So this is a quote from Maya Angelou that I thought was very apropos. She says, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this evening, I hope that Renee and I make you feel welcome and better informed. So thank you all. Nice to meet you all. And I look forward to a lot of interaction during our evening.
Jen, did you want to begin with the information from our region president?
Yes. So I just want to thank all of you for being here. We've got conferences coming up, and we hope all of you will be able to be there. I don't know. I'm looking. I haven't met all of you yet. And with COVID, of course, I haven't been attending anything. So no one's been having any meetings, but anything that you need, please just give me a call. You should be getting the newsletter. And if you're not getting the newsletter, let me know. And if you have co-presidents, or if you have a co-president that's moved on and you have a new co-president, please let me know that too. We're still trying to get everything going good for this year. And I am here for anything that you guys need. Thank you, Renee.
Okay, and Jen, do you have the date of the Southern Region Conference? Did you want to put it into the chat so
yes,
everybody has it in front of them?
I will definitely put that in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Helen. Helen is going to speak about Torah Fund, because if you weren't on when she first got on, Helen is suffering from some symptoms of COVID. And so we're going to let her speak first about Torah Fund so that she can go and do rest or whatever. Thank you,
Thanks,
Helen.
y'all. And Jen, I'm so sorry. I realized I forgot to send you my bio, but just a really quick thing. This is, I think this is our last year as the Torah Fund VP for the region, but I have been involved with Sisterhood in one way or another, and with Women's League in one way or another for the last, oh my gosh, 20 years. So, so this is, I really feel very passionate about Torah Fund. Unfortunately, have not been able to give it as much attention as I have in the past. This year, thanks COVID, not just now, but in general, thanks pandemic year. And I actually know Rachel very well. So I just wanted to, I'm not sure if you all had an opportunity to talk to your Torah Fund chairs and what programming there has been or hasn't been regarding that so far. But this year's theme is Biyachad, which is together. And obviously coronavirus kind of disrupted our lives, causing us to have a lot of problems getting together in the traditional sense. But nevertheless, we, our community, our leaders, have found creative ways to address that, both in the synagogues and the schools and the camps at the JCCs and other Jewish institutions. And that their process brought us together through doing that, whether it's through Zoom, whether it's through newsletters, whether it's through outside activities where we have not had to stay in our cars. So there's a lot of togetherness that's happening, even though we can't all be physically together. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about Torah Fund, which I'm sure you already know, but just in case. So you and your sisters together, b'yachad, have raised over $97 million since 1942. That is a tremendous amount of money if you think about all of the differences in the generations that have occurred since then. That money goes to support the education of our future rabbis, cantors, educators, and scholars who will be our leaders or who are our leaders currently and innovators in the conservative movement. 78 years ago, it was only one seminary. It was JTS. Today, there are 5. There's JTS, the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies in Los Angeles, Schechter Institute of Jewish Studies in Jerusalem, Seminario Rabbinico Latin Americo in Buenos Aires, and Zacharias Frankel College in Germany. I'm sure multiple leaders from your communities have graduated from these schools. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get my phone to stop buzzing. The graduates from the, I'm reading because I got something together because I didn't want to lose track of things. The graduates of these amazing centers of excellence are employed throughout the world, not only as congregational rabbis and cantors, they're also working in other Jewish, as other Jewish educators, camp directors, Hillel professionals. They're working in social work. They're working in nonprofit, youth advisors, outreach, and so many other things, not even necessarily just in the Jewish world. Some have gone on to become attorneys. Some have gone on to become other professionals, which is great because they had that background, the Jewish background, so they bring that with them. So I'm sure you guys know that the pins did not get out. Again, I feel like I'm constantly thanking the pandemic in a terrible way. The pins that were supposed to go out in July or August couldn't go out. Some of you have probably already started receiving your pins. They were supposed to have been sent out beginning in December and going on into January. If you haven't gotten them by the end of January, will you please let me know so I can check on that, or have your Torah Fund chairs let me know on that. We are, sorry, I skipped around and I got in trouble. So in addition, the Torah Fund cards, which I'm sure many of you all are used to being able to purchase to send cards to your friends and family and other people in the congregation, are now becoming virtual cards. JTS has been essentially shut down. No one has been able to go in to be able to work in their offices. They've got somebody that comes in to get mail occasionally. So because of that, they're doing this virtual cards. That link will be on the document that Jen sends you so that you can easily access it. The other thing that Torah Fund has done this year is allowed for giving to occur through their website. That's something new that hasn't happened in the past. And you can both give to the B'Yachad campaign, as well as a new campaign. I guess it's not so new. It's a couple of years old now, Creating Spaces. Have y'all heard of Creating Spaces? Some of you have. Good. So Creating Spaces is one of the newer projects of Torah Fund, and that is to support the building projects at JTS and also to develop a special program at the Ziegler School of Rabbinic Studies. It's very specific in that they are intended to create something new for women. So at JTS, in their new undergraduate residence hall that has opened, Rachel, when did that open? Recently, but I don't know if anyone's actually moved in. not long ago.
Yeah.
I believe that had there not been a pandemic, they were scheduled to move in a previous semester. Yes.
Yeah.
I guess that
Right.
would have been, yeah, but everyone was forced to leave.
Right. So, which is gives us an opportunity to continue with our fundraising, and what we're working on is getting them a study space. So it's going to be the Women's League study space um, that will be in that building. Additionally, Rabbi Perez at Ziegler created a program for designed to address gender-based harassment and biases. And so the class will be called Women's League Gender-Based and Harassment Institute. The course, sorry. That both of those they're raising $200,000 for. So there's no end to the fundraising except once we reach our financial goal. There's that amount money is being split between both schools directly. That is an additional, as every year we usually do an additional fundraising program other than just the regular Torah fund. We do a special one. This is our special one. So I hope that your Torah fund chairs have been talking to you, and I hope that you've been able to help them do some program planning. If you do need help, or if they need help, please have them reach out to me. I'll be happy to do what I can. The only thing I do want to keep caution you is what we have found out is due to the fact that the Torah Fund office is not able to function as efficiently as normal. They don't get their mail as quickly. They can't get things out as quickly because of shutdowns and COVID. Sometimes what we're finding is people think that a check has gotten in, but it didn't get in that month, and it won't get in into the following month. So do have your folks, your Torah Fund chairs, checking the reports to make sure that they're accurate. I don't have a great way of doing that. About half of the Torah Fund chairs are sending me their reports, but it's a lot of information. So I do recommend that you all check them against your records. At this point, we are a little bit down compared to last year as far as donations go, but that is to be expected between coronavirus and the fact that we really haven't been able to do an in-person fundraising. It sometimes slows us down, but I do encourage you all to go ahead and push Torah Fund just the same as you always have done. The advantages that you're going to have this year is that being able to access to people from JTS or Ziegler or from other schools via Zoom is very affordable. It's a nice way to have them in your living room while you're program planning. I know that somebody had Eliana Light as a program. She's a graduate of JTS, and I think she's from Memphis, or she spent some time in Memphis. We are lucky enough that I think we have pinned this down, but we are going to have Barbara Ezring's son, I think, do a program for us. So we're really excited. Cantor's very talented. We're very excited for that. It's something that we wouldn't have had the ability to do had we not been able to be creative. So please don't be afraid to be creative. And I encourage you to reach out to me, or encourage your Torah Fund chairs to reach out to me if you need any assistance. I'll be happy to answer questions if there's any.
Helen, it's Renee. I just want to piggyback on something you said about the programming. At our Sisterhood, we actually had two students, one from JTS, a cantorial student, Mira Davis, who has a lovely, lovely voice, and Jackie Honig from Ziegler. And our rabbi did a Q&A with them. So taking advantage of Zoom has been really a great opportunity for us. And if you have a student, it's $100 for an honorarium for each student. So just so you know. And also the gender bias and harassment Institute has begun already. Rabbi Peretz has been leading classes around the country for the past year. So
Pretty excited to see excerpts of it at some future point.
yeah, we're trying to get that, but it haven't yet. Yes. Okay. Any other questions for Helen on Torah Fund?
I had a question. I posted it as a question to her privately, but I don't know if she saw it. I wanted to know if the pins that are being sent out are being sent to each individual donor instead of to the Torah Fund chair as in the past.
So that was a discussion we actually had, and I believe that the decision was made to send it to the Torah Fund chairs. However, I think, and I'm gonna forget, there is a dollar figure where they will send it directly to the donor if they did it through online donation. I am gonna have to check on what that is. I think it's one of the. I think it's the $600 donation.
Associate patron and above.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Thank you. Those will be mailed directly to the individual. And I do realize that may cause some difficulties in distributing those pins at that point. We have not really been given any directive beyond that.
Thank you, Helen.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you, guys.
Wish you refuah shlema.
Feel better.
Thank you so much. Bye, y'all. It's good to see you, by the way, all of you.
Zoom is amazing. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Okay, so let's go back just a few minutes and we're going to ask everybody to just give your name, your sisterhood, and your city and state, because I'm not sure everybody knows everybody. There are certainly people I haven't met yet. So I'm going to call out the names so we go in order according to my screen. Rosalie.
Yes, I'm Rosalie Nagler, and I am co-president of Haskamunah Women's League in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it's my second go around as president. This time I'm co-president, but just for 1 year.
Okay, thank you. Susan.
I'm Susan Steinberg. I'm co-president of WAYS Women of AYS, which used to be a Dashashur and Sisterhood in Augusta, Georgia. This is probably, I'm co-president now, but it's probably my fourth run at this office. And I've held a number of other offices in Sisterhood.
Okay,
and
okay,
I'm currently a vice president, your vice president of conference for the region.
Right. And that's why she put the corrected date in the chat. Thank you. Rachel.
Rachel Joseph. I'm co-president Sisterhood at Ahavat Lahim Synagogue in Atlanta with Allison.
Oh, thank you. Amy, you're next on my screen.
I'm Amy Trotz, and I'm the president of Sherith Israel Sisterhood in Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you.
So nice to meet Rachel and Allison.
Right. Yeah, something you haven't been able to do.
No.
Okay, thank you. Allison.
I am Allison Feldman. I'm co-president of AA Sisterhood in Atlanta, but I actually live in Marietta.
Okay, thank you. Melissa.
I'm actually neighbors with all of you. I'm Melissa Sklar. I'm co-president of Congregation Etzheim in Marietta, East Cobb, Georgia. Nice to meet you three.
Good. Gloria.
I'm Gloria Adelson, Sisterhood Emmanuel in Charleston, South Carolina. This is we won't even talk about it. I've been around for a while. This should be the last year of my administration, if we can find someone else. I'm also, Jen, what did we talk about? Oh, affiliation and for Southern Region and I'm a consultant for Women's League, and I'm also on the Torah Fund cabinet and on the editorial staff of Chadashot, the newsletter for Torah Fund.
Thank you, Gloria. Cheryl?
Let me unmute. I'm Cheryl Gleish, and I am the president of the Sisterhood of Congregation Beth Israel in Greenville, South Carolina. And I've been president forever, and I will be president forever. I think it's a lifetime position. But I have a great board, so that helps. And I'm also on the National Education Program Committee as well.
International.
International, excuse me, international.
Yes.
Right.
Can't forget our Canadian sisters.
That's right.
Israelis.
And
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Hey, thank you, Cheryl. Arlene. You have to unmute. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm Arlene Fisher, and I am a co-coordinator at Temple Bethel Sisterhood. And I am also corresponding secretary for the region.
Okay. And Arlene, where is the Sisterhood?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay. Thank you. So it's nice that we can all get together, even though we're not in the same room as we might have been last spring. Okay. So Helen talked a little bit about programming, and I wanted to see how many of you are continuing with your Sisterhood programming. Okay, via Zoom. Everybody is doing programming. Good. Do you use it effectively? Do you use all the tools that are available to you? There's screen sharing. Do you all know how to screen share? Okay. Yeah. Have you ever used the whiteboard? If you go into screen share, and I don't want to take a lot of time doing all of this, but I'm going to tell you about all these things that you can look up the next time you do. But there's a whiteboard where you can type text, you can draw pictures. So if you're having a board meeting and you're coming up with a list of ideas that you want to keep for everybody, you can just type all those ideas so everybody can see them in front of them. And to get to the whiteboard, you just click on the share screen, and that'll be one of the options. Breakout rooms are great if you have a large crowd and people just want to chat, or if you have a speaker and you want to have people talk about what the speaker has done, or you're breaking up your board into groups like all the Torah Fund people, all the membership people, all the programming people, and that's very effective. And spotlighting. You can now spotlight more than one person at a time. So if you have a panel of 2 or 3 people presenting a program, you would just click on their name and then just spotlight the first one. And then when you click on the next name, it'll say add spotlight. So that's great that people don't have to go on speaker view back and forth, and people of course can change their view by just clicking on view and going to gallery view, and then they would see everybody and not just the spotlighted people, but that's their choice. But at least that's something effective for programming. Okay, and there's just some top tips I like to share about using Zoom. Number 1, dress appropriately from top to bottom if you're in charge. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the commercial with the camera that falls, or, yes, I see people laughing. Yes. You also have to check your background. There was the newscaster whose husband was taking a shower behind her, and that was not very pleasant either. Check yourself in the mirror before beginning, because things show up so much more on Zoom. Prepare and practice ahead of time. Remember, like tonight, you're most likely being recorded. Check your sound system and check your lighting. Begin on time, and we did that this evening. We don't want to be on longer than we need to be. Begin with a devar or a quote or something like Rachel did this evening, just to bring everybody together, especially if it's a group that knows each other and they're chatting about everything, you know, where they went to the grocery store, what when their next doctor's appointment is, you know, those kind of things. So you bring them back that way. If you're having people present for you from your sisterhood, train them how to use the Zoom, train them how to use the share, train them how to mute and unmute and all those things. Make sure they are co-hosts for your meetings. Make your program as participatory as possible, which we will do later on. And limit to 60 minutes if possible. It may be that you can add some music and a Q&A, then you can make it a little longer, but people just have a very limited amount of time on Zoom. And do not eat if you are the presenter or host, unless it's a specific time to do so. Like if you're having a happy hour, drinks are fine because we all get dry throat speaking and all that. So those are just things to keep in mind. So when you're presenting, it goes a little smoother. So are there any questions about Zoom? I've taught how to use Zoom. So if you have anything, you know, let me know. The other thing I want to check with you is how many of you call or contact somehow the people that aren't getting on your Zoom programs? Because those are probably the women that just are afraid to do it. And you want to make sure that they are included. Many times it's the older women. Sometimes they just don't know how to begin. And a phone call talking them through it may bring them into your group and make them feel less isolated. So just keep that in mind. Look to see who's coming to your programs and who isn't. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk briefly about the relationship between the region and the sisterhoods. So the region will share information from Women's League that's of importance to the sisterhoods. The sisterhoods, hopefully you are sharing that information with your members, either through your newsletter, through e-blasts, or however you're doing it. Region personnel counterparts are available to offer assistance in successfully fulfilling your positions. So Jen, if you have a list of the board positions that you have currently so that the sisterhood presidents know, I don't know if you want to share that now, if you want to just email it later so that people know who they can contact if they have a question.
I'll email it.
Okay, great.
For the sake of time.
Okay, thank you. Sisterhood presidents are members of the region board. So please make every effort to attend the meetings and learn what's going on firsthand so that you can share it with your sisterhood members. Add Jen to your email list for your newsletters. Her email is southernpresident@wlcj.org, and she will type that into the chat for you. If you have a program of particular interest, or if Jen hasn't had the chance to come to you in person yet because of what's happened in the last few months, please invite her to the program. If she's available, I'm sure she would love to participate with you, meet your members, bring greetings, and join you. So, you know, if we can't do it in person, this is the next best thing. So please do include her. Sisterhoods can also share programs of interest with the region so that it can go into the region newsletter. So then that way, if somebody in Knoxville is having this fantastic program, maybe Charleston wants to come and join you and watch. So if that's in the region newsletter, people can do that. If you look at the Women's League newsletter, there are programs from around the country that you are invited to join in. So, which brings up the question, how many of you are getting the region Shabbat greetings? Okay, not everybody. And how many of you are getting the Women's League week? Okay, so we need to get, for Women's League week, if you want to email to me. I'll send you my email. Okay, you can email me and I will make sure you get Women's League Week, and email Jen at her email address that she just put in to get onto the Southern newsletter. Okay, that way we can foster relationships with each other. We can take advantage of those that have great programs and, you know, learn from each other. It's also helpful if you or any of your sisterhood members can serve on the region committees or teams. Again, send your information to Jen and she'll find a place for somebody to help you. As leaders, it's your responsibility to read the emails from the region and Women's League and share that relevant information with your membership. So please make sure you're looking at that. Okay, so has everyone received the letter about, it was, subject line was WLCJ News Flash, and it was about the per capita payment options for this year. Is there anyone that did not get that letter? Okay, so we'll go over it and Rachel will share the letter so that you can see it. So first thing you have to do before you pay your per capita, and I'm sure that you or your membership chair has received the letter with an invoice telling you how much you owe for per capita. Before you pay, update your database. And we will go through that in a minute, but make sure that you update that first, because if you were charged for 100 people, but you only have 90 this year and you pay for the 100, you won't get that difference back. They're going to give you a credit for next year, but they can't, because of the way the systems work, they can't give the refunds. So make sure your information on the database is completely accurate. Okay, and to do that, you would log into, and I'll show you the website later, but you would log into WLCJ.org. You would go to the login section. And when you log in, the option will be Manage Member List 2021. And that's what you would choose. And you would go in and you would add people, delete people that have moved or haven't rejoined, and just keep your list up to date. And also add in those that have rejoined, you know, check the box. If you haven't updated your board list so that those people can get specific information from Women's League, when you go to the login page, there'll be a link for manage positions. And if all this sounds like too much, you can email Rachel Kessler in the office, and she will help you get through how to do that. And now this is the letter. Can everybody read it okay? So it tells you the ways that you can pay this year for per capita. You can send a check from the Sisterhood or synagogue like you do every year. If you send it, it goes to the rabbi's house, Rabbi Ellen Mullins-Fields here, because mail that's going into the Women's League office sometimes takes up to a month to be forwarded to her. So she has shared her address so that you can mail a check there. You can do a bank check payment. That's a check written and mailed by your bank, or an ACH pay, a type of electronic bank-to-bank payment. There may be a fee for an ACH pay or for a bank check payment. It depends on your bank. Or you can have a money order issued. This is the information you need: the name of your sisterhood, address and city and state of your synagogue, because you know how many Bethels there are in the country, the per capita year you're paying for, the amount of your payment, which payment option you'll be using, and a contact information. And then all this information here, if you need it, we can, again, Jen, you can forward this letter to everybody in your region just to make sure they got it. Okay, and the reason we're doing this is, believe it or not, some synagogues are closed, completely closed. I've been able since March, I've been able to get into ours 3 times. And that's it. So a lot of the sisterhoods have their checkbooks in the synagogue and can't get in. So Women's League wanted to make it easier for everybody and offer these options for payment. Okay, thank you, Rachel. All right, so are there any questions? Well, oh, okay. Oh, yes, Amy. Yeah.
So we got a pretty late start getting the ball rolling. One of the reasons was I had a bar mitzvah that I had to plan and replan. So we finally had our first meeting, and it was notifying people that we still have financial obligations to cover. And I just got an email today that I'm looking in, maybe a dozen people have paid dues so far. And so, I mean, we're going to still push that and everything. So how do we know what how does it work? How do we know what we're supposed to pay, really?
Well, you take the membership number that you have, and you put that into the database, update it, you send in your check for that. And if you collect more between now and say February, then you can just update it and send in another check.
More.
Now,
so when is stuff technically due by? February or end of the year?
January 12th, I believe it was. It's in the letter.
Yeah.
The 11th.
The 11th, okay.
So I get the feeling that, I have a feeling we're going to be rolling in, kind of like doing a call for dues throughout the year if we get programs going. And so I guess that you'll just expect it to come in that way.
Right. But the key is to update the database for who has paid so far, so that Women's League does not continually bill you for the difference.
Right. Okay.
And then if you need some direction, I mean, we can talk at the end of the meeting because we do have time put aside for that. If you want to talk about how to get some programming going, how to create a membership letter that speaks to the times we're in. And
we've done that, and it was really good. But I think just people, usually you have a big opening program, everyone's there and they all bring their checks, and this is completely different.
We're in this,
and we've had a late start.
Our sisterhood's in the same boat. Our membership is way down from last year, and we did 2 mailing. We did two emails. We did a paper mailing, and now we're following up with phone calls.
Yeah, it's going to be a tougher year, and it depends on the sisterhood and what they've actually been able to do and how they've been able to pivot to a virtual platform. And before we share the per capita sheet of what you get for your per capita, I just want to ask you, how many are taking electronic payments? How many of you, because if you make it easy, either through your synagogue or through PayPal, then people can easily pay. You don't have to worry about them writing a check, mailing it, getting stamps, going out, whatever they have to do. You don't have to worry about a treasurer getting them and depositing them at the bank, because people are hesitant to do all that. The only thing that Women's League suggests is that you don't use Venmo or a similar system, because those require personal emails or phone numbers to be associated with the accounts, and no one's personal information should be associated with a sisterhood account. It should be a sisterhood phone number, sisterhood email, and that's why if it goes through your synagogue, that's fine, because you can track it. But the other just opens you up for a lot more problems or challenges. Okay, so. And if you need to remind people, Rachel, if you want to share the per capita sheet, and you can remind people what it is that they get for the per capita that they sent. And I think that Jen sent this to you the other day. These are just some of the things that you get for your per capita from Women's League. There's programming, there's services to sisterhoods and education and listservs and publications and all this, and all the groups that we are affiliated with on the world scene. So that's just something to keep in mind when people say, why are we giving to Women's League? And we'll go over some of the programs that are available in just a few minutes. Okay, thank you, Rachel. And any other questions at the moment? Okay, that now Rachel is going to talk about some of those things that Women's League is providing.
Thank you, Renee. I will note that I put Rachel Kessler's contact email in the chat. Renee had mentioned that if you need help with updating your member list, your board list, things like that, that you access through the website. Rachel is our administrator extraordinaire in the New York office, although she's working from home, but she can walk you through all of that, or just take the information and make sure it gets updated. So I want to be sure that your sisterhood is getting all it can from Women's League and taking advantage of the many services that Women's League offers. And that per capita slide that I was just showing you shows you there is a lot that you can get from Women's League. There are mentors, there are women who are experts on all kinds of subjects. And so let's talk about some of those. I'm hoping most, if not all of you, follow parliamentary procedure, which would mean that you have bylaws for your sisterhoods. Given that you're no longer meeting in person and that I assume your bylaws were drafted prior to the pandemic, your bylaws probably say that you have in-person voting perhaps, or they certainly are written with that in mind. And so you might want to think about updating the bylaws. You know, it's smart to have them be current because it tells everyone what to expect on how you conduct your business. And Women's League has an expert on this. Marilyn Berkowitz is the Women's League parliamentarian, and she is more than happy to help you update bylaws or interpret bylaws or understand things. We have examples of bylaws available that she can share with you. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, and I put her email in the chat.
Since all of you are sisterhood presidents and or co-presidents, I hope you are currently members of the Presnet, which is a moderated online email discussion group. And that's moderated by Toby Mazer, and Renee will put her email in the chat. If you're not on the listserv, please reach out to Toby. If you don't feel Presnet is meeting your needs or expectations, reach out to Toby for that too. But the concept is that sisterhoods from all across the country can learn from each other. The presidents can exchange ideas, can ask questions, can mention if they're having a particular issue of one kind or another, and you're probably not alone. We all basically exist in a very similar universe in our sisterhoods and synagogues. So don't hesitate to ask questions, reach out, ask for advice, and let all of us help and support each other. What you're experiencing today is what we call a workshop from the consulting services group within Women's League. So Renee Ravitch is the head of consulting services, and she could not be more expert on all of this. So you guys really lucked out that she is your workshop leader tonight. Let's walk through some of the things that are available. It's funny, Renee, I'm thinking I'm doing this movement with my mouse, but that's you moving a mouse. Anyway, so this is the Women's League website homepage, and you can see here that you have several choices of how to move around, and Renee's doing that for us. This is just general information, but there's some really, really helpful information hiding under programs, hiding under member services, hiding in lots of places. So we're going to go through just some of it. So let's start with member services. And under member services, you're going to see services to sisterhoods. And let's go in there. Later on, I hope you'll go in and look under for Sisterhood presidents. There's lots of information there too. But since we're talking about consulting services, here we are about halfway down the page. If you click under consulting services on here, where Renee just clicked, you can go in and actually learn more about the consulting services that your sisterhood is entitled to because you pay per capita. This is one of the many excellent resources that your per capita goes to provide you a benefit. And so right here, you can get seminars on all kinds of things. You can get a customized seminar. You can have a mentor. You can have lots of different really helpful services for whatever you might be feeling that you need help on, okay? And if you were to request, you would go there and click here, you could fill out a form and actually get the ball rolling to request a seminar of one kind or another. There's no charge for this. This is just a platform that we use so that the information gets pulled into one place and communicated to the right place. So don't be at all put off by, it looks like you're registering for something and you need to pay. Your per capita has paid for this, and this is just basically an online form that you're going to use to tell us what you're interested in. So, you'll click the boxes that apply. Someone will then reach out to you as a result of us getting this form. It'll be assigned to one of our consultants, or it might be Renee who contacts you first. It will just depend. And the ball will begin to get you into our network of consultants who will be there for you and help you plan exactly what it is you want our resources to bring to your sisterhood.
Okay, and Rachel, if I can just add there, some of the sisterhood presidents that have been presidents for a long time, if you're looking for leadership development, we can help you with that too. So if you don't want to be a lifetime appointee, we'll help you get it, someone else to help you. Thank you.
And absolutely, don't hesitate to ask for that. I think with sort of a new language, new verbiage, you'd be surprised how you can motivate others to step up to leadership positions, particularly when we don't call them the things we used to call them that somehow maybe scared them off. So, okay, so now we're back on the Women's League website homepage. And here you can see there's tremendous information. This website gets updated constantly, sometimes multiple times a week. And I know Jen shared with you a Word document that I put together, which are these upcoming events just on one Word document. I included a little bit about each program. Obviously I highlighted the date. I gave you the titles. I told you a little bit about it. And I included the link for those that need registering. So that way I thought you would be able to get to the information a little more smoothly. You can absolutely get to that same information from this homepage of the Women's League, WLCJ.org. Now, a lot of this information is also included in the Women's League Week email that most of you said you were receiving. And that I believe comes out on Tuesdays. At least I get mine on Tuesdays. It may or may not hit your mailbox the same day. But it is, as I say, the most up-to-date. Thank you, Renee. This is the most recent version. It's the most up-to-date events for the upcoming several weeks, probably. What I particularly like about it is if we keep going down a little farther, we have daily Psalms and an opportunity to say Kaddish. And I believe toward the bottom, did we miss it? I think it, or did we agree? Here it is. There we go. So this will have the link for you to join directly. Unfortunately, this link is not embedded in the Women's League homepage. I think that's to prevent Zoom bombing, but we do send it out through this weekly email. So if you would like to start learning about Pirkei Avot, we're studying that currently. If you are feeling blue and you just want to visit with some of your Sisterhood Women's League friends from around the country, this is the place to be, truly. You'd be amazed at the number of women who come on. We also have men who come on. If you need to say Kaddish, this is, and you don't have an opportunity locally, or if you want to say it with a group of women and a few men, this is the place to do it. This was the primary impetus for us starting this, was the opportunity to say Kaddish, but then we decided to have text to study as well. And if you're a teacher or you like to learn on your own and then present something, this is another opportunity for that, because we are assigning various chapters to the participants. And it's lovely to have the different perspectives of our different women from all over the country, different age brackets, different backgrounds, teaching part of this with us. So it's very successful and it's very inviting and makes you feel, I have to say that it really can lift your spirits. We have women who sing, who lead us in singing. It's really lovely.
And can we just go up to the top here too? There's a social justice blurb.
Absolutely, yes.
And programming idea of the week.
Yes, which I apologize here. It says word havens, it's word mavens. My sisterhood is doing this, and it's supposed to be really a great program. But it'll give you good ideas, obviously. You can get them from the Women's League website. There are many, innumerable programming ideas hiding in various lists and all over different parts of WLCJ.org, but there are some really newer ones that we're trying to share in this weekly email, and hopefully it'll spur some conversation within your program team if they're all getting it. If they're not, please cut and paste and share pieces of this with whomever within your sisterhood will benefit.
Okay. Did you want to go to the login now? Are you ready for that?
I am ready.
Okay, let me.
We're going to go back to WLCJ.org.
Okay.
And here we go. So in this top banner, all the way to the right, is something called login. Now, show of hands, have any of you used this? Have you gone through the login spot? Because you do need a password. So if you don't yet have a password, you can email Women's League at WLCJ.org to get one. You can contact Razel, which I already gave you her email address, and she will get you your password. But as a sisterhood president, I cannot stress enough the volume of resources buried, hiding, in plain view on WLCJ.org. So let's take a look at a couple of them.
Okay. Rachel, if I can just put, this is where you said that you would find managed members and manage.
Well, actually, it depends. So I happen to be, so instead of we all have just this one My account here. I have 3 columns that will come across when I log in, because I am noted as, I think, a data manager for my sisterhood, and I am also a region officer and a Torah Fund vice president. So I need access to all of the lists of women in the sisterhoods within my region. So I actually have 3 columns here: my account, sisterhoods within my region, and then region information. So it depends on what roles you play, how much information you'll be able to get access to. But here, the one that I thought we should focus on is update my profile. So if we go through update my profile, this is where right under member identification information, you see there's a blue check and it says, I wish to receive periodic email updates from WLCJ. So this is how you opt in to getting the weekly email. and other important email from Women's League. So for instance, when Hadashot comes out, Helen made reference to this, which is the Torah Fund, I think it's quarterly newsletter. They are piggybacking on the Women's League Week email list. And so if you have a check mark there, you will automatically get the Hadashot e-blast. And other updates that are following, the email list that Women's League has. And I strongly encourage you, if you have a data manager for your sisterhood, to go in, and this is where she would have this next column over sisterhood information. And I think she would be able to, I'm not positive, but she would at least see the list of women, and it gives you an opportunity to put the email in there for them. That doesn't get them registered for the Women's League Week, but I think it would be a way for, you might be able to forward the Women's League Week to them and say, please go in and opt into this. This is great information. And just encourage everyone to be on the lookout for it. They should check their spam folders, but it's really beautifully done. We have a very talented individual who does our mass communications for us and our layout. And so it's a resource that everyone should get. So downloading WLCJ member materials is another incredible resource. Now, while it says download, it doesn't automatically download when you click on that. It merely opens this list of resources. And I can't tell you how many things are here, because honestly, the list just keeps going and going, and it keeps getting moved around and changed. We're in the process of having someone try to organize it as best we can. But honestly, this is something where we add a lot of information regularly too. Renee, if you would go back up a little bit. So for instance, you can see here the challah baking workshop. So this took place in September. And there's a YouTube recording that is embedded right here. If you want to learn how to bake challah with Edna Schrank, you can watch this YouTube. You can also first download the document, the PDF that has instructions and so forth. But just because you couldn't do it that day doesn't mean you can't now do it. Similarly, if you're at all interested, one of the things in the Women's League Week was this upcoming next semester for this beginning Hebrew class, intermediate Hebrew class. And you could take a look at some of these videos to give you an idea of what they're doing in that class and what does it feel like to be a member of that class. I looked at it because they're asking me to teach one of the upcoming classes, and I wanted to know how they're going about teaching this on Zoom. So amazing information is here. Similarly, what Renee was saying, so Zoom training, there's basic Zoom training, there's links right here, advanced Zoom training. Rather than Googling it and trying to find YouTubes through Google, you can use the ones that we created. You'll probably see Renee in it. Yeah. So Sisterhood administration and programming, again, just massive amounts of information. When I first became Sisterhood president, a lot of this was sent to us, this goes back a decade or so, in a binder. Rather than worrying about that, we can update it much more quickly and keep it fresh by having it online here. So I encourage you to spend time here. I encourage you to have team members or vice presidents or other chairs of various committees. If they're trying to get inspiration, encourage them to go in here and spend a little time. There's things here for your financial secretary, I believe, about what we've already talked about.
Yeah. I've been going through Sisterhood Finances here, leadership. I've been scrolling slowly so they could see the titles if they don't know already.
So just incredible information. I encourage you to reach out to various Women's League chairs of some of these committees, these areas, if you also want additional information. I'm not sure. So again, back on the homepage, there are places where you can find the Women's League Board and what some of those resources are too. But spending time on this website will enlighten you and make you realize that anything we mention, there's a resource for it.
Okay.
Any questions? I know we covered a lot of material.
All right. Well, thank you, Rachel. And we just have one more short thing to cover, and then we're going to ask people to share. And that's just about best communication practices during the coronavirus. And, you know, like we said earlier, it's important to stay connected with your members more now than ever. People are feeling isolated and disconnected. Winter can be especially difficult if you're in an area that the weather changes and people can't get out. So I just want you to think about, how are you communicating? Are you using email, text, phone calls, mail, regular mail? Are you using Facebook or Instagram? And is someone updating them regularly? So just think about that. And when you send an email out, a blast, some of the tips that we learned is that if you use a recognizable sender name, rather than coming from Sisterhood, like Rachel, you would say from Rachel, you know, as the sender, so that people would feel like it's a personal email. Keep the subject line short, because if you're reading it on your phone, you know that it reads much differently than on your email itself, and you have to be careful how it shows. And studies show that emails sent weekday afternoons have the best rate open, and Tuesday at 1 p.m. is the best time to send an email. Just letting you know. Let's see. The other thing is, you know, if you get 30% open rate, that's pretty good, but you have to think about those other 70% of people. How are you going to reach them? And of course, KISS, keep it short and simple. So those are just some hints, some Women's League information, some region information that we had to share with you. And I know that Jen asked you to bring some things to share, either your questions or concerns or programs that you want to share, or some things you found that have helped you a lot during this time of lockdowns or semi-lockdowns. I'm in California, so we're in real lockdown. So tell me, please share. If you want to share, just unmute yourself and let us know what you want to ask or share. Nobody brought anything?
It's just kind of tough this year. A lot of people don't want to be on Zoom because they're on Zoom all day. And now it's gotten cold out, so it's kind of hard to meet outside. But I think people are interested in doing something. So even though we're late to the game, we're gonna, you know, keep pursuing it. Our next event is Sisterhood Shabbat, so we'll see how many people zoom in on it. Let's see if they'll get people to come.
One thing I want to mention with regard to Torah Fund events, if you haven't had your Torah Fund event, if you're having trouble enticing whoever is your chair, and you know, obviously you need to not do it the way you've always been doing it, think about joining with another sisterhood and doing it as a joint event. We have a lot of speakers that we couldn't send to you before who can zoom in. We also have videos already available that you could show. So there's a lot of new material within Torah Fund. Helen can get you access to it. The Torah Fund resource website has new things being added all the time. So don't hesitate to think outside the box and to expand sort of who you're including and how you're hosting it.
Right. And I think what you said about sharing programs, I mean, there are a few that are in the same neighborhood here.
Right.
And I'm sure that maybe you could do something. Rachel and Melissa, I think you each wanted to share something.
Well, I was going to mention, Allison, if you have the date in front of you, we are doing a preview for Atlanta. Anybody can join, but the film festival, Atlanta has a big Jewish film festival coming up, and we are having a preview night. So we haven't started promoting it yet, but that's a good suggestion to put it in the regional newsletter to encourage other sisterhoods. And we had a meeting and the film fest with Judy, who's on the committee for film festival, that we would like to encourage other sisterhoods to attend.
Please.
So you're putting together a special program to preview the films, or you're doing it with the film festival?
So we have one of our members who's also a past president is on she's the one of the founders of the Jewish Film Festival, Judy Marks. And so every year we've had a film festival preview party at the synagogue, because she has all the materials for it. And obviously this year it's not in person, and either is the film festival. It's all going to be virtual. So this year we're doing the preview on Zoom.
We've always wanted to do something with the film festival, and we've never been able to figure out how to do it.
Well, you'll just have to join.
There you go. Let me give you a call.
We'll have to do it together.
We have it slated for early February, but we haven't set the exact date yet. But
it'll be a week. We decided it was going to be on a weeknight evening day. We just have to confirm that day. But once we'll promote it in the regional newsletter.
Please do.
Okay.
We've had but what I was going to say before is that we've had a lot of success with our Zoom events. I feel like we did we had our centennial year this year. Our sisterhood was 100 years old, which was a big disappointment that we couldn't have our in-person gala that we had originally planned, but we had over 160 people attend a Zoom sisterhood event, and I think our members have enjoyed trying to come together and attend our Zoom events and stay connected.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, Melissa, and then Amy, if you have questions again, but Melissa was waiting.
Oh, thanks. I just wanted to say I have actually, I can't remember even the name at the moment of the synagogue in Florida that I kind of connected up with. I attended one of their virtual events. They did a virtual jukebox bingo, and I wanted to try it out to see if it would work for our show. And it was a wonderful event. And then I got to know their president and their programming VPs. And so we've talked about doing some things together going forward. Last year, pre-pandemic, we started reaching out to other shoals, and we did do some joint sisterhood events in person that were hugely successful. What we're noticing this year, we're doing a plethora, constant programming. It's been like 2 or 3 programs a month. It's been amazing. We've had incredible attendance. Our membership numbers are still very strong this year, very robust, considering the area that we're finding a challenge is recruiting new leadership for our board. And we feel we've arrived at this critical juncture. We have a twofold problem. Number one, we are not able to attract the younger generation. So we're starting to age, and even some are aging out. Well, I don't want to say ever aging out, but we're having trouble bringing in the next generation is not stepping up, so to speak. And we're finding this, we feel like we're almost arriving at a crisis with leadership, and would love some guidance and help in that direction.
Okay, let's go back to, let's stay on the topic, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But I think Amy had some more questions about the Zoom programming.
Well, I'm just curious, how did you, when you had your gala, Rachel, how did you, I don't say entertain, but what, like 106, 160 people? I don't know, what you said, how did you manage that many people?
What was the event?
Well, we produced before the pandemic, a film about 100 years of sisterhood. So it had a historical component, and so we displayed the film for people to watch, which had pictures of sisterhood over the past 100 years. And we had interviewed, so this was being produced, obviously before the pandemic. And we interviewed a lot of the past presidents. Allison and I both spoke in the interview. So that was displayed during the program.
So just so you know, Amy, for some of these programs like that, the big ones, if you have that many people, first of all, you can mute everybody except for you make anybody that you want to speak or participate a co-host so that they can actually talk. And you can pre-record larger events too. You can pre-record speakers, you can pre-record award ceremonies, you can pre-record a lot of parts of it if you have something that's big like that. And then that way it takes out the surprises of somebody's internet going down, the Zoom not working or whatever, and you just need somebody that can edit things and that can be in charge of the Zoom and make sure it all works. So that takes care of the technical questions on it. And as far as, it's just getting publicity out there. I'm sure you did a lot of publicity for all your programs where you get people coming in and finding what speaks to people and getting ideas. Women's League also has 2 program chairs. You saw in the Women's League week, they put in program of the week. They've been doing that practically since convention. And so you can always speak to them and get ideas from them. I can send that's Grace Seschler. I can never say her name correctly, but I'll get her email and put it in. Okay, and then going to the leadership development and getting other people in, I think you need to find what speaks to them. And I know one group got the moms together of kids that were in the tourist school and high school because of the pandemic. It's taken 2 years for this particular sisterhood to get this program going. But because of the pandemic, the moms really wanted to get together to just talk, to vent, to have some sort of a program. They're going to be the ones to be in charge of the Havdalah at the end of the Women's League Shabbat weekend. But they just needed a chance to be together. And once they're together and doing something and seeing how they're supported by sisterhood, even if you get 1 or 2 to start stepping up and taking on a project. We know that people don't want to be chair of a committee anymore, but they're willing to work with a team of people on a project. So that's in a short answer, how to develop some leadership. If you want to do a workshop on it, I'm happy to get somebody to do that too. We can spend an hour and a half just on that. But those are just some quick ideas.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other questions or programs to share? Oh, thank you. Rachel put in Grace's email. That's another thing too. When you're doing a program, have 2 people that are working on it. Because if my internet went down because I have 25 people, 25 networks showing up on my computer, Rachel could have taken over for me. So that's always good to have a backup. So anybody else have any other programs that they did that were really successful or any other challenges they want to ask about?
Can I add also some opportunities you have through Zoom that you wouldn't have because of geographical constraints are also out there. And the Women's League Week, and Grace can certainly tell you about those. I know here the Illinois Holocaust Museum has been hosting the Ruth Bader Ginsburg exhibit. And I know several sisterhoods from varying parts of the country that have been using that Zoom exhibit. I don't know what else to call it, but the
We're
opportunity.
doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing it. Sorry. Yes, it's great.
No, that's wonderful. And there are other Jewish museums, there are other historians and other kinds of things that become available to us that we wouldn't have the opportunity to use because of geographic constraints. So those are ways to think outside the box. And if you think of something, use Presnet, use Grace, reach out and say, has anyone done this? You know, who's the contact person? What were the fees included? You know, how smoothly did it run? How long does the program really take? And use us as a resource to get more information. The RBG exhibit is wonderful, and the docents are fabulous.
I agree.
Actually, I did that with a DASA group. So there you go. And sometimes, there are authors or musicians or something that you might want to bring in, but they're going to charge you $500, even if it is on Zoom. I mean, it's less expensive because you don't have hotel and airfare and all that. But if you do it with a group of other sisterhoods, the fee comes down. You can charge $10 a person, $18 a person to cover those fees. So it is good to work together and to share. Anything else that, Cheryl, we haven't heard from you, or Arlene, is there anything, or Rosalie? Rosalie's hand's up.
Yeah, I had a question. Which museum is the RBG exhibit at?
Illinois Holocaust Museum.
Okay.
And Information Center. But if you were to Google Illinois Holocaust Museum, you'll get right to it.
Okay.
Do you want me to put it in the chat?
Sure.
Okay.
That'd be great.
I feel like the exhibit may be moving out of that museum after February. We had to get our scheduling in. Unless they changed, there was a deadline that exhibit was going to end at a certain time. So you'll need to check on all that, of course.
Yeah.
But there are other museums, like Rachel said, that are doing programs, and you just have to visit your friend Google and find out who. Skirball Center has concerts. That's in Los Angeles. And there are others, I'm sure the U.S. Holocaust Museum and Israel. There's museums in Israel that are doing programs. So just look around. Okay.
I think I just saw the page flips and shows you more information, but I thought it said the RBG exhibit was extended, but I can't tell you exactly the date. So, but here's the information in the chat, and you'll go to the homepage, you'll see it right away.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
And they're very nice and very responsive there. My co-president and I actually tried out the tour on our own first, loved it, felt it would be appropriate and wonderful for our congregation. So then we now have reserved a tour, and they've been wonderful to work with. So
that's great. Actually, I was going to share that we typically in the fall with our sisterhood have a paid up event, which is when we get all our members to, re-up and all the rest of it. And we spent $500, but my thought was it was so much cheaper because normally we put on like a lunch, a brunch, and then we have, some kind of event associated with it, and there's no charge. We just want people to pay their membership. So we did it around lunchtime, and we had an a cappella group from Chicago called Listen Up, and they were fantastic. They do these webisodes, and they're putting in all kinds of funny commentary and interesting stuff, historical. And then so we did 3 of those, and then we had a Q&A that was live, and everybody who went on just absolutely loved it. And so I would recommend them as a program. There was a Hadassah group in Chicago who used them, and we spoke with them just to see, was this workable, and they were great to work with. So
Something my sisterhood started doing with programs like that, because there's no fee involved for our sisterhood to attend, and there's no, as you mentioned, no lunch to pay for, no dinner to pay for, you're not driving anywhere, offering the opportunity to become a sponsor of the event. So we have different sponsor levels, and
Right.
it can be $18, it can be $36, you know, we kept jumping up, and we got lots of women sponsors because they felt this is how they could help us, you know, raise funds and continue to have good programming when we're not doing most of our usual fundraising.
And for Tour Fund, regions are doing that too, not charging, but they're asking for a donation to Tour Fund. Pacific Southwest region has their Tour Fund event on January 31st, and we're having representatives from each of the 5 schools. And again, not charging, and it's going to be moderated by Rabbi Ellen Mullins Fields, who's the director, executive director at Women's League. And we're just asking for donations to Torah Fund. So you can do that too. And there's also, there's comedy groups that are doing programs online. If that's the way if that's of interest to your particular sisterhood, you just have to figure out what it is that people want to hear. And it may be, you know, make a few phone calls to key people and see what they would like as a program, and then work from there. But there are opportunities. Any other questions or comments? If anybody is looking for leadership development, please just contact me. You have my email address, and we'll get somebody to help your sisterhood with that. And yes, somebody wrote to me, chatted me privately. Yes, it did say 11/27/20 on the newsletter. It was just probably copied and pasted. So yes, but that's the one. Jen, she was talking about the Southern newsletter.
I have a question. The Southern newsletter that came out, that it looked great. Has that letter been coming out? Because I don't recognize getting a long list of things like that before.
That's Jen. You'll have to ask her.
Yes, the region, we do send out, we try bi-weekly, but it doesn't always make it bi-weekly. And yeah.
No, I mean the one that had no, I'm talking about the one that comes all the way, the one that had all the league information and events going out.
The Women's League sends theirs out on Tuesday, and we put region information at the top of ours and then copy everything from the Women's League into the Southern region. So is it the Women's League one you're not getting?
We are women. Like, I think I get so much. I gotta say, the Presnet thing fills up so much that I stop looking at stuff sometimes, and I can't tell when information is important and when it's just someone asking a really silly question, and that's kind of a problem. I'm discovering.
Right.
I try following Presnet, and sometimes there's something very interesting on there, and most of the time it's not. So then I can't tell when it's really something I should be paying attention to. And so what was the one that we got? It was We Are Women. It listed all the Women's League week, end of your activities. Don't miss out. Is that kind of list of things that's come out? Is that a usual Women's League week? Okay, I guess.
So
it's fantastic. It's like a really great
I think what you're noticing is it's been reformatted. And it looks a little different, in my opinion, in the last several editions. And I think it also is sharing more and more information. So
okay, I thank you, because it's something that I actually read from beginning to end, and it caught my attention. And so thank you for reformatting or whatever. And my question is, am I the only one, or is everyone getting this Like if you're a member of, if
Okay,
you paid your dues, are you getting this?
not everyone is. Okay, that's why we're asking you to share that
Me to
information.
share it on. Okay.
So what happens is if you've opted in to receive emails, you saw when
Right.
I went into my profile, if you've opted in, you get that. If you are a member of Presnet, they also forward that to Presnet. So I don't know if you're getting it twice or if you're only getting it from Presnet. That
No,
women,
this came from Women's League. Yeah.
okay, so then you're just
Not
getting,
from Presnet.
and then Toby also forwards it for those presidents that haven't opted
Oh.
in to get that. I mean, the problem with our system is that, or challenge, we don't have problems, only challenges. The challenge is that it's an opt-in system. So you can only get emails if you opt in. So we're trying to update and see if we can get that to everybody or not. But as long as you're getting it at least once, and Jen is also sending it in her Southern message. So some of that will be duplicated and you just have to scroll through and, delete what doesn't make sense.
Renee, perhaps a suggestion we could make is some newsletters like that have a link at the bottom to subscribe. So that way, if I were to forward it to Amy, for instance, or to Arlene, who's not already getting it, they would be able to scroll to the bottom, click subscribe, and put in their information. I don't think we currently have that.
Yeah, you need to speak to Rabbi about that because I'm not sure, our system is a little bit different.
Well, it's through Constant Contact, isn't it? Maybe it's not. The ones
it's not the Constant Contact, it's the database where they pull the emails.
Okay. I see.
Yeah. Susan, did you want to share anything about conference?
Well, we have been meeting with, this year is going to be different because we are having a joint conference with North Atlantic region, and we've worked out the schedule so that we will be together through right after lunch, and then we will part ways and do our own thing. Our own thing this year is the PGW award, well, our business meeting first, and then the PGW award and installation. And then we also are planning fun and games. We don't know whether we will be able to do that via Zoom with people, probably pre-recording skits. And we have 2 speakers that will focus on social justice, and the third program is actually going to be successful programs that sisterhoods have done, and we've already heard a couple of them tonight, and you can share them again with, we are hoping, because it's a Zoom conference, that we will have really great attendance, and we are offering a prize for the sisterhood. This is Southern region where only, for the sisterhood that has the highest percentage of their membership in attendance. And the prize is a talit from Beth Shalom Sisterhood. They are the host, Southern region host. And what they said is then the winning sisterhood can make money by selling the talit. So we're excited, and more information will be forthcoming.
Well, thank you. I know that the team has been working really hard on this, and again, taking advantage of the situation and joining with another region to share speakers. So I think that's a great opportunity and an idea. So thank you. Thank you. Jen, did you have any final words that you want to share? I don't want to keep people past the time unless you really want to share. I know it's late for you back there.
I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and definitely Rachel. and Renee for presenting to us. This has been good. I hope that it has been helpful. Hope you've gotten some ideas or answered any questions that you had, and just want you to know that we're always available. So just let us know.
Okay. Thank you. And Jen put the next board meeting date into the chat for the Sisterhood presidents to join in.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice meeting all of you. Thank you for
Yes.
coming.
Thank you very much. Be well, everybody.
Happy and safe New Year.
Yeah.
Be safe.
And Jen, if you want to just stay on for a few minutes.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Anytime.